My name is Margaret Thorne, and for 55 years, my reflection was my most trusted advisor. From my penthouse suite overlooking the glittering Chicago skyline, the world seemed a stage, and I, its meticulously crafted leading lady. Life, for me, was measured in carats, thread counts, and the envious glances of others. I was a businesswoman, the founder and CEO of Thorne Events, an empire built on orchestrating lavish galas, exclusive weddings, and corporate summits for the creme de la creme. Money wasn't just important, it was the answer. The key that unlocked every door, smoothed every wrinkle, silenced every doubt. I chased it relentlessly, wielded it masterfully, and believed utterly in its power to shape reality to my liking. My obsession, however, ran deeper than mere wealth. It was entwined with an insatiable hunger for beauty, glamour, and the perpetual illusion of youth. My days were a carefully choreographed ballet of board meetings, high-powered lunches, and appointments designed to defy time itself, spa treatments thrice weekly, Botox injections religiously scheduled, consultations with the best cosmetic surgeons money could buy. I curated my appearance with the same ruthless precision I applied to my business deals. Designer labels, Versace, Gucci, Chanel, were my armor, flawless makeup my war paint. Age is just a number, I'd declare airily at cocktail parties, basking in the compliments that I looked years younger, easily mistakable for a woman in her 30s. That validation was intoxicating, addictive. Spirituality? Religion? I dismissed such concepts with the wave of an expensively manicured hand. My mother, a devout Catholic soul whose gentle faith baffled me, would occasionally urge me toward prayer or Massachusetts. "Maggie, dear," she'd plead softly, "there's more to life than..." I'd cut her off with a brittle laugh. "Mother, please. I have a board meeting, a charity gala to plan, and a fitting at Saks. God can wait. Besides," I'd add with a wink, "money solves problems far more efficiently." When the COVID-19 pandemic swept the globe, sowing fear and disruption, I observed the chaos from my gilded cage. I saw fortunes crumble, saw families I knew, pillars of society, reduced to uncertainty. But my belief in the protective power of my wealth remained unshaken. While the world locked down, I hosted clandestine parties in my sprawling suburban mansion, flouting regulations with impunity. Masks were for the masses. Vulnerability was a weakness I refused to entertain. I felt untouchable, shielded by my success, my connections, my meticulously maintained facade. Life was meant for enjoyment, for indulgence, for asserting my will upon the world. I was the master of my fate, the captain of my soul, or so I arrogantly believed. Until my 55th birthday. September 17th, 2023, when the universe decided to revoke my credentials and show me the staggering truth about the game I thought I was winning. September 17th, 2023. My 55th birthday. The culmination of everything I valued, everything I projected. The celebration was planned to perfection, an exclusive buyout of Elysian, one of Chicago's most sought-after fine dining establishments. The guest list glittered, business partners whose deals had made me millions, socialite friends whose presence added luster. Even a few carefully curated celebrities flown in to magnify the aura of importance. The restaurant dripped with opulence, cascades of white orchids, crystal chandeliers casting prismatic light. A renowned jazz quartet playing smooth, sophisticated melodies. I surveyed my reflection one last time in the antique mirror of my dressing room. The red Versace gown hugged my figure flawlessly, a testament to grueling workouts and disciplined dieting. My hair, expertly styled, cascaded in glossy waves. My makeup, applied by a professional artist, was impeccable. Tonight, I was not merely Margaret Thorne, businesswoman. I was Margaret Thorne, the embodiment of success, beauty, and enduring power. "This is my night," I whispered to my reflection, raising an imaginary champagne flute. But the day hadn't started perfectly. I'd woken before dawn, not refreshed, but with a strange sense of disorientation, a dizzying fatigue clinging to me like damp silk. I dismissed it. Nerves, perhaps. Or maybe just the cumulative effect of years spent burning the candle at both ends. Nothing a strong espresso and the adrenaline of the impending party couldn't fix. I sat at my vanity table. The array of expensive creams and cosmetics spread before me like a general's battle plan. As I reached for my foundation, a sudden, violent tremor seized my body. My hand spasmed, sending a pot of blush clattering to the marble floor. The room began to tilt, the familiar luxurious surroundings warping, spinning. An excruciating pain, sharp and blinding, exploded behind my right eye, radiating through my skull like a lightning strike. I tried to call out, to scream for Maria, my housekeeper, but my throat constricted. My limbs felt heavy, unresponsive. I slid from the vanity chair, crumpling onto the plush Persian rug. The last thing I saw before darkness consumed me was the shimmering reflection of my own panicked face in the fallen blush compact. Later, the doctors would call it a massive hemorrhagic stroke, sudden, unprovoked, devastating. In that moment, however, all I knew was the terrifying sensation of my meticulously controlled world vanishing into absolute blackness. Consciousness returned, not gradually, but instantly. Yet, it was consciousness utterly divorced from physical sensation. There was no pain, no disorientation, no awareness of the body crumpled on the floor below. I was floating, weightless, ethereal, drifting near the high ceiling of my opulent bedroom. Looking down, I saw the scene unfold with a strange, unsettling detachment. There was my body, Margaret Thorne, lying inert. The vibrant red of the Versace gown a shocking contrast against the pale rug. My face was slack, one side unnervingly still. I saw Maria burst into the room, her face contorted in horror. Her screams echoed, oddly muted to my perception. I saw her fumbling with her phone, dialing 911, her voice trembling with panic. But I felt no fear. No urgency. No connection to the expensive vessel lying broken below. Instead, a wave of cool, analytical curiosity washed over me. Interesting, a part of my mind observed. The cessation of brain activity appears to induce a complete detachment from physical form and emotional response. It was as if decades of prioritizing intellect and external observation had created a default setting that persisted even beyond the threshold of death. Then, a gentle but irresistible sensation. Like being caught in an invisible current. I felt myself being drawn upwards, phasing effortlessly through the solid ceiling, through the roof of my mansion. The familiar Chicago skyline rushed towards me, then receded rapidly below as I ascended at an impossible speed. The city, the state, the continent, the blue and white marble of Earth itself, all shrank beneath me until they were just celestial bodies in a vast, stardusted emptiness. I found myself suspended in the heart of the cosmos. It was breathtaking, terrifying, magnificent. Galaxies swirled like iridescent paint spilled on black velvet. Nebulae glowed with colors unseen on Earth, vast clouds of creation and destruction. Stars blazed with silent, intense fire. And permeating everything was a palpable energy, a low, vibrant hum that felt like the universe breathing, the very pulse of life itself. I had no body. No form, just pure awareness adrift in infinite space. And then, images flooded my consciousness, unbidden. Not memories replayed, but feelings re-experienced. The exhilarating rush of closing a multi-million-dollar deal. The smug satisfaction of wearing a gown no one else could afford. The brittle laughter at yet another extravagant party. The dismissive wave of my hand as my mother spoke of faith. The hollow echo of compliments on my youthful appearance, masking the gnawing fear of aging. The faces of people I'd used or ignored. It wasn't a linear review, but a collage of sensation, highlighting the overwhelming vanity, the relentless pursuit of the superficial. The profound spiritual emptiness that had defined my 55 years. The cosmic beauty surrounding me suddenly felt like a mirror, reflecting the smallness, the utter insignificance of my earthly obsessions. I floated in the infinite, awestruck, bewildered, and pierced by a dawning, unbearable regret. Out of the heart of a swirling nebula, a light emerged. It wasn't the harsh pinpoint of a distant star, but a soft, growing luminescence that radiated warmth and an indescribable peace. Within this gentle radiance, a figure took shape, the man in white robes, his face emanating kindness, his eyes holding the wisdom of eternity. Jesus. Again, the recognition was absolute, bypassing thought, resonating deep within my soul consciousness. There was no doubt, no room for the skepticism that had been my lifelong companion. He drifted closer, his presence filling the void, his light mingling with the starlight. Every gesture seemed imbued with infinite love, his very being pulsed with compassion. He regarded me, not with judgment for the life flashing through my awareness, but with a profound understanding that encompassed all my flaws, all my choices. Margaret! His voice echoed within me, gentle yet penetrating, reaching the core of my being. Child of earth, adorned in fleeting glories, what did you truly live for? The question hung in the cosmic silence, simple yet devastating. It wasn't an accusation, but an invitation to honesty, an exposure of the truth I had so long avoided. I tried to formulate an answer, to justify my choices, to perhaps list my business achievements, my philanthropic donations, carefully calculated for maximum PR, of course. But no sound, no thought coherent enough to be called an answer could form. My essence felt laid bare. Stripped of the designer clothes, the corporate titles, the carefully constructed persona. Before him, I was simply a soul, weighed down by the crushing realization of a life profoundly misspent. Regret, sharp and agonizing, was my only answer. I knew, with devastating clarity, that I had lived wrong. Jesus observed my silent confession, his expression softening with sorrowful empathy. Yet his eyes retained their unwavering clarity. He raised a hand, and the cosmic panorama shifted once more. The beautiful, serene star's cape was overlaid with visions, terrifyingly vivid and immediate, echoing the warnings I had dimly perceived earlier but now presented with undeniable force. The era of cleansing, the great purification, is not merely coming. Margaret, he stated, his voice resonating with solemn authority. It has begun. The consequences of humanity's collective choices, the long cycles of greed, division, arrogance, and the desecration of spirit, are now manifesting upon the physical plane. I saw terrifying glimpses of the near future. Armies clashing, cities burning under skies choked with smoke, the unmistakable horror of global conflict, WWIII. Simultaneously, the earth itself seemed to unleash its fury. Coastlines devoured by monstrous tsunamis, landscapes reshaped by volcanic eruptions spewing fire and ash, the ground splitting open in catastrophic earthquakes, swallowing homes and lives. Famine spread like a plague across continents once considered lands of plenty. Governments, built on foundations of power and finance, crumbled into chaos. Economies collapsed. Currencies became worthless, and the intricate systems supporting modern life disintegrated. Humanity, stripped of its technological buffers, turned upon itself in desperation and fear. This, Jesus explained, his voice filled with sorrow but not surprise, is the harvest of seeds sown long ago. The relentless pursuit of material wealth above spiritual well-being. The arrogance of believing humanity could master creation without acknowledging the Creator. The lust for power, pleasure, and fleeting status. Mankind built towers of Babel on foundations of sand. Believing money, fame, and sensual indulgence were the ultimate reality. But before the true power of the divine, they are less than dust. His gaze held mine, piercing through my lifetime of delusion. You believed your wealth was your shield, your fortress, he said softly, yet the words struck with the force of a physical blow. You thought money could buy security, immunity, even defy death itself. The vision shifted slightly, focusing. I saw scenes from the recent past, the COVID-19 pandemic, not just news reports, but intimate glimpses. I saw wealthy families, isolated in their mansions, dying from the virus because their connections couldn't procure effective treatment in time, or worse, dying from starvation or violence when supply chains broke down and their hoarded resources ran out or were stolen. I saw powerful executives, once commanding boardrooms, reduced to desperate pleas for help, their influence meaningless in the face of systemic collapse. The pandemic, he conveyed without words, had been a warning shot, a tremor before the main quake. A chance for humanity to reassess its priorities, to recognize its interconnectedness and fragility. A chance I, and countless others like me, had arrogantly ignored, retreating further into our bubbles of privilege. You lived as if money were your god, Margaret, Jesus stated plainly. You trusted in riches, in status, in the ephemeral allure of beauty. But those idols cannot save your soul. They offer no solace, no protection, when the true reckoning arrives. Then my own life scrolled before me again, illuminated by this new, terrifying context. The extravagant parties I threw, meticulously designed not for connection, but for showcasing my wealth and status. The countless thousands spent on dresses worn once, bags carried for a season, treatments chasing an impossible youth. I saw myself turning away a representative from a homeless shelter, dismissing their plea with a curt, "My donations are allocated elsewhere." When the truth was I simply didn't want to be bothered by the unpleasantness of poverty. I saw the subtle ways I used my influence to manipulate situations, to gain advantages, always prioritizing profit and image. But woven into this tapestry of vanity were other threads, finer but undeniably present. The substantial, anonymous donation I'd made years ago to a children's hospital after visiting a sick employee's child. The time I'd spent hours comforting a young event planner on my staff whose parent had suddenly died, offering genuine empathy and practical support. These moments, performed without fanfare, without expectation of return, seemed to glow faintly in the review. Every act, Margaret, born of genuine compassion, of selfless love, aligns your soul with the light, drawing you closer to me, Jesus explained. These small acts of kindness resonated more brightly in the cosmic balance than all your grand galas. But every choice rooted in ego, in vanity, in disregard for others, creates dissonance, a weight upon the spirit. Your mistakes are not merely errors. They are profound lessons, opportunities for growth you largely ignored. And understand this. His gaze intensified. To whom much is given, much is required. Your position, your wealth, your influence, these were not solely for your personal indulgence. They were trust, tools meant for greater good, carrying a heavier responsibility. You were meant to be a steward, not just a consumer. Jesus gestured again, and the vision shifted one last time. The images of collapse faded, replaced by a breathtaking panorama of potential renewal. Out of the ashes of the ruined world, new societies were emerging. Cities rose, built not of steel and glass dominated by corporate logos, but of sustainable materials, integrated harmoniously with nature. There was no sign of war, poverty, or pollution. People moved with a sense of peace, their faces reflecting community, cooperation, and a quiet joy. Technology existed, but it served humanity and the planet, rather than dominating them. And everywhere, there was a palpable sense of connection, people connecting with each other, with the earth, and with a radiant, loving divine presence that permeated everything. This, Jesus said, his voice filled with luminous hope, is the future that awaits if humanity chooses the path of light. If enough souls turn from the darkness of ego and embrace the truth of love, compassion, and unity with the divine. The potential for this new earth exists, side by side with the potential for utter ruin. He turned his full attention back to me, the choice starkly presented not just for humanity, but for my own soul. But the time for choosing is rapidly expiring, Margaret. Every moment in the physical realm is a precious opportunity to learn, to grow, to rectify, to love. Cherish it. Use it wisely. For once you cross this threshold permanently, the choices are fewer, the regrets heavier. Do not arrive bearing the weight of a life squandered on illusion. Tears streamed down my spiritual face, tears of profound understanding, of devastating regret for my shallowness, my blindness. I had thought myself a queen, the center of my universe, building an empire of sand. Before the staggering reality of God, of the soul's true purpose, of the cosmic stakes, I was nothing less than a speck of dust. Yet, inexplicably, he was here, showing me mercy, offering not condemnation, but clarity. I entrust you with a mission, Margaret, Jesus said, his voice gentle but firm, igniting a flicker of purpose within my humbled soul. Return. Go back and be a warning voice, especially to those like your former self, those blinded by wealth, seduced by vanity, dismissive of the spirit. Tell them the clock is ticking. Tell them I am not found only in stained glass windows or ancient texts. I reside within each and every soul, waiting to be acknowledged. Tell them, if they simply open their hearts, cast off their arrogance, and seek me with sincerity, I will guide them through the coming storms. I will lead them home. A final, brilliant pulse of light emanated from Jesus, bathing me in overwhelming love and a sense of urgent commission. His form dissolved back into the cosmic radiance, his parting words echoing in the core of my being. Live for love. Live for the light. Time is up. The sensation of falling returned, swift and disorienting. The infinite void contracted, the stars vanished, and I felt myself plummeting back towards the dense, familiar vibrations of Earth. With a sudden, violent gasp, my eyes flew open. The harsh glare of hospital lights assaulted my vision. Beeping machines provided a frantic soundtrack. A face hovered above mine, blurry at first, then resolving into the tear-streaked face of my daughter, Sarah. She was gripping my hand tightly. Mom? Oh my God, Mom! You're awake! A doctor rushed over, shining a light in my eyes, listening to my chest. Her heart restarted. Pulse is steady. It's incredible, he exclaimed to the nurses. I heard snippets of conversation. Massive stroke, cardiac arrest, 25 minutes, a true miracle. Sarah sobbed with relief, clinging to my hand. A miracle, they called it. Lying there, feeling the heavy inertia of my damaged body, the fog slowly lifting from my brain, I knew it was far more than that. It was a reprieve. A deployment. A second chance, granted by divine grace, to fulfill the sacred mission Jesus himself had assigned me. My recovery spanned 2 long months in the hospital, followed by extensive therapy. The stroke had left its mark, some physical weakness, gaps in memory related to the time immediately before the event. But my mind, my soul, felt sharper, clearer, more awake than ever before. The NDE wasn't a fading dream. It was the bedrock of my new reality. The cosmic vistas, the terrifying visions of purification, the overwhelming love and authority in Jesus' eyes. His urgent commission, these were etched into my being. I understood now. The glittering life I had chased was an illusion, a distraction from the soul's true purpose, to learn, to love, to grow, to reflect the divine light. The parties, the designer clothes, the relentless pursuit of youth, they were hollow substitutes for genuine connection and spiritual fulfillment. The moment I was discharged, I began dismantling the empire of vanity I had built. Thorn Events was sold, the proceeds, along with the majority of my personal fortune, channeled into carefully selected charities focused on famine relief, disaster recovery, and supporting the truly needy. The penthouse was sold, its contents auctioned off. The endless stream of high-fashion purchases ceased. Spa appointments and Botox injections became relics of a former life. I moved into a modest, comfortable home, finding more peace in its simplicity than I ever had in opulent mansions. I began attending church again, not out of obligation or social expectation, but with a genuine yearning to connect. I didn't focus on dogma or ritual, but on finding quiet moments to turn inward, to speak to the presence Jesus had revealed within my own heart. And I felt him, a quiet guidance, a comforting warmth. A constant presence in the gentle breeze, in the kindness of strangers, in the love reflected in my granddaughter's eyes. Compelled by my mission, I wrote my story, Light After Darkness. A CEO's Reckoning. It wasn't elegantly written, it was raw, urgent, honest. I aimed it specifically at my demographic, successful, often cynical, middle-aged and older individuals who, like my former self, might be prioritizing the material over the eternal, oblivious to the spiritual currents shifting around them. The book struck a chord. It circulated widely. Discussed in prayer groups, passed along by concerned friends. Letters poured in, hundreds of them, mostly from people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Margaret, your story shook me from my complacency, wrote one retired executive. I'd dismissed faith for decades, but reading your words. I prayed last night. Really prayed. Another woman shared. Thank you. You reminded me what truly matters before it's too late. Each letter was a confirmation, fueling my determination. I poured energy into rebuilding family bonds. Daily calls with Sarah became cherished moments of genuine connection. Playing with my granddaughter, teaching her about gratitude and compassion, felt infinitely more rewarding than closing any business deal. I visited my mother's grave regularly, no longer dismissing her faith, but sharing my journey. Mom, I'd whisper, laying flowers. I get it now. I found him. Thank you for never giving up on me. I'm trying to make it right. I started volunteering regularly at a downtown soup kitchen, serving meals to the homeless. Listening to their stories, offering a moment of dignity and care, it grounded me, humbled me, reminded me of our shared humanity beneath the superficial labels of wealth or poverty. Seeing the light of gratitude in their eyes was worth more than all the diamonds I ever owned. Now, my life is dedicated to this purpose, spreading the light, sharing the warning. I was Margaret Thorne, the Queen of Vanity, who believed money was God. But I have seen the truth, written in starlight and delivered by the Savior himself. I know the clock is ticking. The purification is real, and the stakes are eternal. I was given this second chance by incomprehensible mercy, tasked with awakening others, especially those still trapped in the gilded cages I once inhabited. If my words reach you now, take a moment. Be still. Look within your heart. What drives you? Is it the accumulation of things? The pursuit of fleeting beauty? The echo of applause? Or is it love? Truth? Compassion? Connection to the divine light within you and all around you? The world is shifting. The time of choosing is now. Don't waste another precious moment on illusion. Open your heart. Seek God not just in designated holy places, but within the sanctuary of your own soul. Turn to Him with sincerity, however faltering, and He will guide you. I am Margaret. This is my testimony. I have known the seductive darkness of vanity and materialism, but I have been bathed in the redeeming light of Jesus Christ. Time is truly up. Awaken. Today. Live for love. Live for truth. Live for God. Thank you, Lord, for your infinite mercy and for this sacred mission. Margaret's astonishing transformation from a life of pure materialism to a messenger of divine light is a powerful wake-up call. If her journey struck a chord with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more incredible testimonies shared daily. Don't forget to click the notification bell. You won't want to miss the vital messages of hope and warning coming your way.